What's up, Panthers Nation? It's Aaron Duncan back again with another video brought to you by Necessary Bluntness Sports Talk. And today we are talking about Brian Burns, the former first-round pick, getting his fifth-year option exercised. Now, Scott Fitter, our GM, talked about it last week. Pretty much said it was a done deal. It was just a matter of formality and administrative stuff to put the paperwork in. But now it's officially official during draft weekend, particularly around the same time that they did it last year for DJ Moore. But in this video, we're going to talk about what all this means for Brian Burns going forward. Would it be a smart thing to go ahead and sign him to a contract right now? It sounds crazy, but let me try to prove a point and show you guys why it might not be a bad idea to go ahead and buy in on Brian Burns for the long term right now. But we're starting right now. But once again, my name is Aaron Duncan. I start off every video by saying, what up, dude? Here on Necessary Bluntness, I do recap and analysis of the NFL in particular. Got to show a little extra love to my Carolina Panthers, you know what I'm saying? So make sure you guys subscribe down below, hit the bell icon so you get a notification every time I drop a video, and make sure you give the video a thumbs up because it goes a long way in this algorithm. You know, it's hard out here in these YouTube streets. Sometimes YouTube don't always spread the love, so you giving me a thumbs up doesn't cost you a thing, and it really helps me out. All right, cool. Did it? Good. Thanks. Let's go ahead and get into it because Brian Burns, the fifth-year option for him will be worth about $16 million because he got that Pro Bowl. He got the Pro Bowl last year after another 9-sack season. He's been 3 years into the league with an improved sack total for the most part over those 3 years. Started with 7.5, got 9, and got 9 again, even with the extra year. But Brian Burns, from a prior regime, obviously was drafted by the Ron Riveras and the Marty Herneys of the world. However, edge rushers are a premium position, and this is the type of guy that you want to build your defense around because he's an athletic freak. He came into the league a little bit slim, obviously, but he was known for that first step off the line of his speed around the edge. And that's exactly how it translates. He's continued to add weight to try to be better against the run on the edge. He's up to about 260 pounds now. I can see him adding a little bit more weight to be a little bit more stout, but don't want to sacrifice that speed. Now, even though Brian Burns only hasn't had a double-digit sack year yet, he is a problem off the edge when it comes to his speed, and he pretty much converted all the sacks that he almost got. He'd probably easily be a 13, 14 sack guy on a couple of year basis, you know, because he beats guys around that corner and bends that hoop, but he doesn't bend the hoop tight enough to get there. Even though he has the long arms, nicknamed Spider-Man and whatnot, he seems to be close but no cigar many times, and that can be frustrating for some fans. Some fans aren't big on Brian Burns, and I understand, but this year the Panthers made a decision. They had a choice. Hassan Reddick, the leading sacker on the team, who had about 11.5 sacks, they had a choice. Do they pay him the money or do they pay Brian Burns in the future? And they allowed Hassan Reddick to test the market, and he ended up going back to Philly, back to his hometown and his roots, you know what I'm saying, the Jersey area and whatnot, you know, getting about $15 million per year, which is pretty reasonable in my opinion for a double-digit sack guy who's proven that, I mean, he's capable of being a premier pass rusher in this league. A lot of fans thought that we should have kept Riddick instead because they thought that he should have been a Pro Bowler in the first place instead of Brian Burns anyway. Nevertheless, we chose Brian Burns because he's younger, has a lot more size, and still has a lot more untapped potential. Hassan Reddick, I love him. He's tough. He's a little bit undersized, though. It can be, and they try to say that he struggles against the run. I didn't see that completely, but I get the sentiments because just of the lack of size that he has. You know, he's playing out of position in Arizona where he got drafted. The final year, they finally put him on the edge, but they didn't guarantee it. He didn't sign his fifth-year option in Arizona, and he ended up walking away coming to the Panthers. Now, obviously, the Panthers want to avoid that, so they went ahead and inked that for Brian Burns because they know that they know what this guy can do. However, my opinion here is that it may be smart and wise to go ahead and just ink Brian Burns to a long-term deal. Now, his salary cap hit is only $4 million this year. However, now that you have the fifth-year option, if you go ahead and get that extension done, you soften that $16 million blow from next year, giving you a little bit more extra money on the cap, you know what I'm saying, there. And then you go ahead and ink him on that deal. But you can buy low. Now, $16 million for what some of these pass rushers are finna get soon, it's not really a bad bargain, but if you can get Brian Burns at maybe like a base or a $13, $14 million, put some incentives in there to make sure he gets those sacks that he's been missing, that's what I would like to see from them because a guy like Nick Bosa, once he gets his deal, it's probably going to be $21, $22 million, especially as this salary cap keeps increasing after we recover from COVID-19. And of course, the money coming in for the Amazon primetime deal and all these other TV contracts, the salary cap for players is going to continue to rise. We saw the market that's being set for these wide receivers, and they're not nearly a premium position as a pass rusher. In the NFL, quarterback, cornerback, left tackle, and pass rusher are the four key positions that always are going to get paid because you need to have a quarterback. Everybody knows that. You need to be able to protect the quarterback with the left tackle. Corner is so hard to play that it gets paid when you do have a good guy. And in the pass rusher, because the quickest way to neutralize an offense is to put pressure on the quarterback. Any quarterback, no matter how good he is, whether it's Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, you put pressure on them, they can be neutralized. That's why those positions have a premium, and you're going to pay a premium if you're not careful. Now, with DJ Moore, they did ink the fifth-year option, but before he got to that, which was only $18 million for DJ's case, they signed him. And on the back end, it's going to be an average amount of $20 million per year, but it seemed to be a smart move to go ahead and do it early because look at some of these guys. Look at them. Tyreek Hill getting, 25, 22, something like that. Devontae Adams, 25. A.J. Brown just got 25. DK Metcalf is going to get paid here soon. The price tag just keeps going up. Yesterday's price is not today's price. And everybody was moaning and complaining about DJ getting paid that $20 million. But because at the time, he was number 8 highest paid wide receiver. How quickly those things change, because he's probably in the 12 to 15 range now, which is probably about where he is in terms of his ranking as a top receiver in the league. Nevertheless, back to Brian Burns. Brian Burns has the potential. I think he'll finally put it together this upcoming year, and I think you should bank on that by giving him a contract. If he blows up and has 15 sacks this year, you could price yourself out to the point that you don't have him. And with you losing Hassan Riddick and probably not addressing edge possibly in the draft, who knows what could happen with that Brian Burns scenario. Even Scott Fitter kind of got at that, saying that they may look at edge rusher because if Brian prices himself out, it could get a little messy. Nevertheless, they do at least have another 2 years of rights to Brian Burns, of course, and franchise tags. But why not a guy that you know that wants to be around? Why not go ahead and get that thing? Show him that you're committed to him. Get it a little bit lower before that Nick Bosa contract comes out here, because I think that Nick Bosa contract is going to get ugly. Granted, they're not in the same stratosphere when it comes to stats and production, but I still think that the way the market is going to trend, even if you don't have it up there as that guy, he's still going to want to be in that ballpark. The same way with some of these receivers. Yeah, A.J. Brown is not Devontae Adams by any means, but he still got close to Devontae Adams' money just because that whoever's the next man up is going to want to be in the ballpark of the next guy. So that's just kind of how the market works. So a lot of people don't want to be committed to Brian Burns, but I just think that this guy is going to be a cornerstone of this defense. It starts and ends up front. I expect him to take another step. Granted, he's only going into his 4th year. The untapped potential is still there. I made film breakdowns about him a couple years ago saying that he has the potential to be Von Miller-esque. If he puts it a little bit together, gets a little bit more weight, bends that hoop a little bit more, because once he gets stronger, he'll be able to take a little shorter route to the quarterback instead of having to go so wide and run the hoop to try to go the long way to get the quarterback and win with speed. He will be a little bit better, add some more moves, and get better against the run. I think that you have to pay your cornerstone players, and Brian Burns is no question a cornerstone player. So you guys let me know down below in the comments how you feel about paying Brian Burns on the contract right now for $13, $14 million base and something like that, and to get it a little bit low versus having to pay $18, possibly $20 million if Nick Bosa gets $22, $25 million per year, and then Brian Burns actually has a breakout year also. Let me know how you feel about buying low instead of trying to wait and make him prove it again and do something like that and having to negotiate later down the line and having to face the possibility of a holdout or a franchise tag or something messy like that. Let me know down below in the comments. But without further ado, I'm Aaron Duncan signing off. I'll see you next time. Peace.